Welcome to the deep dive. Here, we take source material that you're curious about, unpack it, and really pull out the key insights so you can get informed
Yep,
fast.
get straight to the good stuff.
Exactly. And today, this deep dive is specifically for you. We're tackling something so many of us grapple with, making good habits actually, stick.
It's the perennial challenge, isn't it?
Totally. So, from the excerpt you sent over, which gets into the fourth law of behavior change, our mission today is to really nail down that final piece of the puzzle.
The piece that helps build those lasting good habits and maybe finally ditch the bad ones.
Right. Ever wondered why some habits just click, they feel easy, while others are just this constant uphill battle?
hmm
Well, this deep dive is going to explore exactly that. Let's get into it.
Okay, so we've talked before about making habits obvious, attractive, easy. Those are crucial first steps.
Right, setting the stage.
But now we get to what the source calls the clincher. Make it satisfying. This fourth law is all about that feeling of reward, that little hit of satisfaction,
Even a small one.
even a small one. It's what tells your brain, yeah, that was good. Do that again. It reinforces the behavior.
Okay. The source has this really great story to illustrate this. Karachi, Pakistan, late 90s.
Yeah, Karachi.
Mm.
It sets the scene really well. You've got this incredibly dense city, major sanitation problems, and widespread disease because of it. Things like diarrhea, pneumonia, even skin infections like impetigo.
And public health folks knew hand washing was key,
Right.
like fundamentally important.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone knew it was important. The knowledge wasn't the issue.
So it was.
Consistency.
Yeah.
As the source points out, people just weren't doing it reliably. Maybe a quick rinse sometimes, maybe forgetting entirely before handling food. It wasn't an ingrained habit.
So the classic knowing-doing gap.
Yeah.
How did they tackle that? This is where Procter & Gamble come in with Safeguard soap.
Exactly. And this wasn't just, basic soap. The source notes, it was seen as kind of a premium product there. And people in the study, they often mentioned actually enjoying using it. It lathered up really nicely, felt good, and crucially, it smelled pleasant.
Ah, so it wasn't just functional, it added a little something extra.
Precisely. Suddenly, washing your hands wasn't just a chore. It had this small, immediate, positive sensory experience tied to it.
And that small change, that tiny bit of satisfaction, had big consequences. I saw Stephen Luby, the public health worker mentioned, talked about aiming for habit adoption, focusing on that positive feedback like minty toothpaste.
Exactly like toothpaste. And the results were pretty staggering, actually.
Yeah, tell us.
Within just a few months, they saw huge drops in those diseases. Diarrhea down 52%, pneumonia 48%, impetigo 35%. Really significant improvement.
Wow, that's massive, just from getting people to wash their hands more consistently with nicer soap.
But here's the really telling part, the long-term impact. The source mentions that 6 years later, right, long after the free soap had run out, over 95% of the households in the study still had designated hand washing stations with soap and water.
So it stuck. The habit actually formed.
It stuck. That little bit of satisfaction, the pleasant lather, the nice smell, it was enough to rewrite the behavior pattern long term. It tells the brain, this is worth repeating.
It's amazing how powerful that small pleasure signal can be. Like the brain flags it, remember this, do it again.
That's exactly the mechanism. Pleasure teaches the brain what's worth repeating. And the source gives other examples, right? Like Wrigley's gum.
Oh, yeah.
Gum had been around, but it was kind of bland. Then Wrigley adds flavors, spearmint, juicy fruit, and markets that feeling, that clean mouth sensation.
And suddenly everyone's chewing gum.
Consumption shot up.
Mm.
It wasn't just about the gum itself. It was that immediate, tiny hit of pleasant flavor and feeling. Made it satisfying.
Makes sense. And toothpaste, too. The source says adding mint or cinnamon doesn't actually make it clean better.
Nope, effectiveness is about the brushing and fluoride.
But that minty fresh feeling,
Right.
that clean mouth sensation, that's what makes you want to brush regularly. I mean, I know I definitely choose toothpaste, based partly on how much I like the taste.
Me too. It makes the experience better. And all this leads to what the source calls the cardinal rule of behavior change.
Okay, what's that?
Simple. What is rewarded is repeated. What is punished is avoided.
Right. Positive feelings encourage habits, negative feelings discourage them.
Exactly. So the first three laws, obvious, attractive, easy,
Mhm.
they get you to do the thing this time. But this fourth law, making it satisfying, that's what makes you do it next time. It closes the loop.
Got it. Obvious, attractive, easy gets you started. Satisfying keeps you going.
You nailed it.
Okay, so we like doing things that feel good, seem straightforward. But the source throws a wrench in the works, doesn't it? This whole immediate versus delayed reward thing.
Ah, yes, this is super important. Our brains, you see, didn't evolve for the world we live in now. They evolved in what the source calls an immediate return environment.
Meaning,
Think about life for our ancestors. Find food, eat now. See predator, run now. The consequences of actions were usually pretty instant. Survival depended on dealing with the present or the very near future.
makes sense. But that's not really our world anymore.
Not at all. We're mostly in a delayed return environment. You work today, but the paycheck comes later. You exercise now, but the health benefits might take years. You save now for retirement, decades away.
But our brains are still wired for that immediate payoff.
That's the conflict. This leads to something called time inconsistency. Basically, we value something we get right now much, much more than something potentially better in the future.
And that explains why bad habits are so sticky.
Absolutely. Think about it. Smoking brings immediate stress relief, even though cancer is a distant threat. Junk food gives instant pleasure. Obesity comes later. The immediate reward often wins out over the delayed consequence.
So there's this mismatch. Bad habits often feel good now, but hurt us later. Good habits often feel like effort now, but help us later.
Precisely. The source quotes Frederick Bastiat, great quote. "The sweeter the first fruit of a habit, the more bitter are its later fruits." Oof. Yeah. The cost of good habits is usually paid up front, in the present. The cost of bad habits, that gets deferred to the future.
Which our present-focused brain tends to ignore.
Right. So we make these grand plans for our future self, the one who's disciplined and healthy. But when the moment comes, our present self is making the choice, and it often goes for the instant gratification.
So that cardinal rule needs an update then.
It does. It really becomes what is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. The immediacy is key.
Okay, and this preference for instant gratification, it actually creates an opportunity, doesn't it, for those willing to delay?
Yeah, that's an interesting point the source makes, because so many people chase the quick win. The path of delayed gratification is often less crowded.
The last mile is always the least crowded.
Exactly. And the rewards there can be much bigger. Research backs this up too. People better at delaying gratification tend to do better academically, have lower rates of addiction, lower obesity, handle stress better, have better social skills.
So things like doing your homework instead of watching TV, or eating the healthy meal instead of the instant junk food, it pays off.
It generally leads to better long-term outcomes. We kind of know this intellectually, right? Delaying gratification is usually wise.
Yeah, we know it, but doing it in the moment, that's the struggle.
That's the struggle.
So how do we flip this? How can we use this preference for instant gratification to actually help us build the good habits?
Well, the source stresses how vital that feeling of success is right at the start, even a tiny win. It signals that the effort paid off.
Because otherwise, good habits just feel like sacrifice early on. The big benefits are too far away.
Exactly. So you need immediate rewards to bridge that gap. They keep you motivated while the long-term good stuff is still brewing.
And it matters how the habit ends, too. Like, we remember the ending more.
Yeah, the peak end rule. We tend to remember the peak intensity and the very end of an experience. So you want the end of your habit to feel satisfying. This is where reinforcement comes in.
Reinforcement. Using an immediate reward to boost the chances you'll do it again.
Right. And you can link this right back to habit stacking. You have your cue, you do the habit, and then you immediately give yourself a reward for finishing.
Okay, that makes sense for habits where you do something. But what about habits of avoidance? Like not buying stuff impulsively or not drinking alcohol during the week. There's no action to feel good about.
That's a great point and a real challenge. You don't get that immediate sense of accomplishment from not doing something.
So how do you make not doing something satisfying?
The trick, according to the source, is to make the avoidance visible and immediately rewarding in a different way.
How?
They give the example of setting up a specific savings account. Label it trip to Europe or new leather jacket. Then every time you resist buying that coffee you don't need, or you skip eating out, you immediately transfer the money you saved into that special account.
Ah, so you see the money growing right away. That's the immediate reward.
Exactly. It makes the absence of the bad habit tangible and satisfying. You see the direct benefit of your restraint right now.
I like that. It's clever, creating your own reward system. But the source also warns about the type of reward, right? It needs to align with who you want to be.
Yes, crucial point. If you're trying to build habits for, say, financial freedom, Rewarding yourself with a bubble bath or a nice walk reinforces that goal of more free time or well-being. That aligns.
But rewarding yourself with a shopping spree would conflict.
Totally conflicts. Same with exercise. Rewarding a workout with a healthy smoothie or a massage aligns. Rewarding it with a giant slice of cake.
Sends a mixed message, undermines the goal.
Right, you want the reward to reinforce the identity you're building, not fight against it. Eventually, the source says, the intrinsic rewards take over.
Like feeling more energetic, less stressed, just feeling good about yourself.
Exactly. Those become the reward. Your identity shifts, and you do the habit, because that's just who you are now. That becomes the ultimate reinforcer.
But getting there takes time.
It takes time. And that immediate reinforcement, those small, satisfying rewards, they're the bridge. They keep you going long enough for the habit to become automatic and for your identity to catch up. Enjoyable habits are sustainable habits.
So it comes back to finding those small pleasures, the nice soap, the minty toothpaste, seeing that savings account grow that make the process feel good right now.
That's the essence of it. Those make the change easier, more appealing.
Okay, so wrapping up, the fourth law, make it satisfying, is really the key to making habits repeat, making them stick.
It locks in the behavior for the future.
And because our brains love those immediate payoffs, the secret is to find ways to make good habits feel good right now, even in small ways. That bridges the gap until the big long-term benefits kick in.
And that updated cardinal rule really sums it up. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Immediacy matters most.
So creating those little moments of success right away is fundamental. It works with making habits obvious, attractive, and easy to build something lasting.
The first three get you to act now. The fourth gets you to act again tomorrow.
Perfect. So for you listening, here's something to chew on. Think about one habit you're working on building or breaking. What tiny immediate reward could you attach to it? Or even a tiny immediate punishment for slipping? How could you make the very end of doing that good habit feel like a little win right here, right now?
That's the challenge. Find your satisfaction.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.